Joining us now is former Deputy National Security Advisor KT McFarland. KT, great to see you tonight. Strait of Hormuz, Project Freedom. I think this is the critical move here, KT. Everything seems stalled until we can get stuff out of the Strait of Hormuz. And frankly, I would say when the people who are not our enemies can come back into the Strait. What do you expect to see from Project Freedom?
Well, we essentially already control the Strait. American military vessels have gone through, as you pointed out earlier. 2 American flag vessels have gone through. We can either escort them through, additional ships through, or we have a multi-layered defense where we can, as ships are approaching the Strait, we've got the ability to take out missiles and drones and fast boats. As ships are right at the Strait, we can take them out in the perimeter. So in effect, we really do control who goes through the Strait of Hormuz or not. And at the same time, we keep up the blockade, which prevents ships from going to and from Iran and Iran only. So look, it's a matter of time. The Iranian economy is collapsing. They're so strapped for funds that they're not paying their military. They've got millions of people unemployed. Time is not on their side. It's only getting worse. And then I think that Iran made a very critical mistake today, miscalculation, to go after the UAE pipelines, because what does that do? It pushes the UAE firmly into the embracing arms of Israel and the United States against Iran.
The UAE Foreign Ministry said, quote, "We reserve the right to a full and legitimate response to the attacks." And you're in part referencing KT. A drone hit sparked a fire at the crucial oil hub of Fujairah, and that is an area that the UAE had used as kind of a destination, a pumping destination around the Strait of Hormuz. But can this end this conflict with purely military action? Does it also require diplomatic?
Well, it requires diplomatic for sure, but it's military action. But the real kicker has been the Operation Economic Fury, which is the one that's pushing Iran into the economic graveyard, where there's no income coming in, there are no revenues. Iran is blockaded; it's not able to get in or out. It's the military operations against the Iranian senior leadership. Are they talking to each other? They're certainly not meeting together in the same rooms. Will there be a diplomatic solution? One only hopes. At some point, somebody in 93 million Iranians is going to say, enough. We want to go to the negotiating table and we'll give up our nuclear weapons. We'll find a way out of this. Now, maybe it's not the current IRGC leadership, but, you know, are those guys still the IRGC leaders a couple of days from now? I seriously doubt it.
KT, you know, this probably is the Fox business side of me, but I wake up most mornings on a weekday and one of the first things I check is the price of oil. I look at the AAA price of gas. You know, I just do, because it is just so fundamental to our economy. You know, we used to have more than 100 ships going through that strait every day. I don't know if we're going to get back to that, KT, but I'm just wondering, at what point this year, do you think it's this year, where, I don't know, 50% of that number, 75% of that number is going to transit that waterway again and not be worried about Iran blowing them up? Is that going to happen this year, KT?
I think it happens by this summer, yeah. And what would also happen, I mean, there's a lot of oil. It's just not getting through the Strait of Hormuz. So once the strait is cleared and the vessels, those 300-some vessels that are sort of locked in and blockaded by Iran from getting through the Strait of Hormuz, once they get through, once more oil vessels start moving, you're going to see the price of oil go down and the price of gasoline go down, and it could happen very quickly. And you know, people keep saying, well, poor President Trump, he's got this political problem. He's going into the midterms and gas is almost $5 a gallon. Well, what happens if there is a dramatic reversal, say by the 4th of July, and the Iran problem is solved, or the oil is getting through and the price of oil goes down, the price of gasoline goes down? Everybody's going to hail Donald Trump as one of the great saviors, not only of the American economy, but of the world economy.
Nationwide, though, it'd have to get back below $3 a gallon, KT. That's where it was before the war started.
Which would be great. I'd love to see it.
$2.98, I think, was February 26th, maybe. KT McFarland, great to see you.
Thanks, KT.